Greetings, my unbelievable V family. The time has come again for episode 4 of this unbelievable series called In the Zone with the one and only, our upline and visionary, Dato Sri Vijay Ishwaran. Congratulations, Dato Sri, on the greatest VCon in 18-year history, Dato Sri.
It was simply awesome.
How was VCon Malaysia 2017?
It was in a class by itself. I'm always excited by VCons, and it's not just about the crowd. Of course, the quantum of the number of people attending is something that is very important in terms of the fact that we are creating an impact around the world. But the quality of the VCon, that is more actually generated by the attitude that they bring. And the attitude of this current crowd was simply in a class by itself.
Yes.
They came with the intention to learn. They were very focused, and the speakers felt it. It was felt, I think, it resonated throughout the crowd. You had speakers essentially hit new heights in terms of their emotional content and how they felt about what they were doing and so on and so forth. And for me personally, it was very powerful. I was able to go up every night, and in fact, I had to remind myself to step off every single time, and that's.
I was there, Dato Sri, right next there.
We have keeping that many people up till 3 a.m. is not the easiest thing, and there were very few empty chairs throughout the place.
Yes.
So that's an amazing thing. But what we bring to VCon every year is something electric, and I don't think anyone in the industry can relate to it or equate it. They are constantly surprised as to how we do this, and sometimes, I'm surprised too. But I do know that behind all of this is a force, and this force is driven simply by the fact that we have always built VCon on one platform, and that is rhythm.
Yes.
So when we are in that mode of service, magical things happen. Service by itself is the greatest force that moves and dictates mankind. When you serve to lead, the whole emphasis of leadership changes. When you lead for the purpose of power, greed, anger, hatred, lust, and so on, then you are leading from a position of strength and dictatorship. And unfortunately, at that level, it is like lassoing and dragging them behind you.
Yes.
But when you serve to lead, they become, you are the chariot, and they are essentially pulling you along. And it's totally magical to be able to do that. So service to me is the fundamental difference, and rhythm to me is the platform upon which we have grown all these years. And I'm very proud of that.
And Dato Sri, you brought one of the most amazing guest speakers we ever had, Muniba Mazari. And Dato Sri, I saw you interacting with her in the VIP room and standing on stage with her. How did it make you feel, Dato Sri?
Amazing is the word. She basically, in many ways took my breath away. She's beautiful as a person, as an individual, as a human being. And she's able to, with her simplicity, to reach out and touch the crowd with such joy, and it's simply awesome to be next to her. I'm moved. I'm moved by a few people, and I remember Nick Vojovich, who came a few years ago. Nick was an awesome individual, but this lady brought a whole new level of love to that place. And that's what she resonated. She sent out waves into the crowd of care and love and compassion. And she personified that, And I think the crowd was moved. I clearly saw that. Many teary-eyed individuals sitting right throughout the crowd. It wasn't just the women crying. There were some very macho looking guy sitting in the back who had a tear coming down, and I'm not ashamed to admit that even as I leaned down to hug her, I was teary-eyed myself.
And Dato Sri, the good news for everyone viewing, Muniba is also going to be there at VCon UAE in September, Dato Sri. Dato Sri, the message of VCon, the message you put on the logo which you gave to me when we started preparing for VCon Malaysia was do it now. And from the first time I became part of your organization and your student, Dato Sri, 18 years ago, that message resonates in me, that the sense of urgency. But I see today that all your downlines around the world struggle with this sense of urgency because the comfort zone pulls them back. How do we sustain this concept of sense of urgency in our minds, in our hearts, the way we do things every day?
Looking at Muniba as one, I mean, you cannot but feel a sense of urgency when you look at her.
Yes.
This is a beautiful, wonderful lady who went for a drive for the husband, and in one day, one stroke, her life entirely changed. And as I said on stage, and I'm saying it now, as a phrase so beautifully put in English, I say simply, there but for the grace of God goes I.
Yes.
It simply says, there but for the grace of God goes I. Meaning, between me and someone like Muniba, someone like Nick, someone like, so many others out there in the world, lies a very thin whisker of a line. Now, if that thin whisker of a line is all, then not to have a sense of urgency is crazy.
Yes.
So it's insanity not to have a sense of urgency. Now, a sense of urgency is, after all, perhaps the wrong way to describing it. And I think a better way to call it is to simply say, living in the now.
Yes, that's true.
Do it now means living in the now. Do it now simply means that don't wait. There is no other time. There is only now. So if there's only now, you have to live in the now. There is no past, there is no future, there is only now. The sense of urgency automatically kicks in. So, as opposed to calling it sense of urgency, because in some people's mind it means like, I got to, give myself a adrenaline jab. I got to, pick myself up. I need a pick me up. I need this and that. It's not that. You don't need to be hyper. You don't need to jump on tables. You don't need to, jump off aeroplanes. Skydiving is not a sense of urgency. People think that, by going skydiving or bungee jumping or, mountain climbing or whatever, rock climbing, that they are having a sense of urgency. It's not. Living in the now simply means that there is no other space to relate to. So everything becomes important, everything becomes immediate. Everything becomes important and everything becomes immediate. Now, the instant you are there in that zone, you are immediately, relating to all the activities of life. Your priority list changes. You no more look at, what do I need to do, as in terms of, next week, next year, next month or whatever. In terms of, okay, how will it change my comfort zone going downwards? In fact, the only thing that will count is how does it change now?
Yes, that's true.
As opposed to, okay, I'm going to buy a house 10 years down the road. Buying a house 10 years down the road is something you can build upon, but what you have to do right now is instant and immediate. So you can't avoid the beggar on the street as you walk past.
Yes.
You can't avoid looking across and saying, that's not my concern, that doesn't concern me. Everything concerns you when you don't have a time limit.
Yes, that's true.
Your immediate is right now. Then your life changes, your perspective changes, your things that are important it changes. Every breath you take changes. That's what Muniba talks about.
Yes.
In her own way, that's what she talks about. So I mean, and I love her for that, because she basically says it in such simple words. She says, there is name and fame don't matter. Now, for me to go out and say that into the network might be counterproductive, but I'll say it nevertheless. At the end of the day, Muniba is right.
Yes, that's true.
There's only one thing that matters. How much of a difference we make, how much we care, how much we share. Are you with me? And that is fundamentally the element that takes us on to the next level. So as we build a business, as we look for everything that comes along with it, the name, the fame, the gain, the financial, freedom and all of that, over and above of that has to be the care, the share. And therein lies, a part that takes us higher a little bit. So as a company, it's very important that we identify with this.
Yes.
And that's why rhythm is the thing that saves us all.
Yes.
Every time we look at rhythm, it saves all of us. Because it says very clearly within it, raise yourself clearly, which means that yes, be successful, beat every target, grow, go beyond this. That is at the first level, but beyond that is help mankind.
Yes.
So helping mankind is becoming your goal.
Yes, sir.
Are you with me? As opposed to raising yourself. Raising yourself is the first stage, but it goes onwards. So there's a continuity to what you're doing. And living in the now then changes. Because living in the now is about serving mankind. So without confusing everybody, raise yourself first. Focus on that. That is the first stage of living in the now. Do it now. Raise yourself, do it now. But why? Because together we can raise each other to help mankind.
Thank you very much, Dato Sri, for that message. To add on to that, Dato Sri, what I think they want to hear also, as you know, networkers, my weakness from day one was consistency. And every time I switched off, you brought me back. But today, Dato Sri, they don't have access to you like I did. All right? And I still have today, thank God. But how do you reawaken that, Dato Sri, in somebody who falls back into the comfort zone? Because the world drags us away from our focus every single day. How do you get into that zone where you stay focused on that now?
In a simple way, we look at a mirror every day.
Yes.
Because if we didn't look at the mirror, we can't actually see how we look. Yes. We are not able to comb our hair, adjust the tie, adjust the way we look at it. That mirror is so fundamentally important.
Yes.
In fact, we don't leave the house without looking at the mirror.
Very
it's
true.
a habit.
Very true.
Yeah. Mauna, or the sphere of silence, is exactly that.
Yes.
And it immediately reminds you, every time you look back, you sit down and go inside a little bit and analyze where you are. It reminds you. Because your goals are in front of you, which you put down every day. Even if you don't write new ones, the old ones are constantly staring at your face. So you keep looking back and say, how far am I? Where am I going? It's like looking at a mirror inside. You're going past the face and you're going to the soul. And you're saying to yourself, hey, what have I done? And it's only when we forget that we need consistency. It's only when we, don't look back, we have a problem. So while we are living in the now, we have to keep reminding ourselves that we don't have any more time. And that's what Mauna does. Mauna takes you to that sense of urgency instantly.
Agreed, Dato Sri.
So to do it every day, where you take that moment of in silence and go within, it automatically brings that back. It automatically raises your consciousness. It automatically takes you to the point where you are ready to take off again. It keeps me on my goals. And it should keep all of you.
Thank you, Dato Sri, once again for this amazing session we just had. And to all of you viewing, let me remind you once again, this is our upline, the one and only Dato Sri Vijay. And for you to have this few minutes with him, welcome to his zone.